Yo guys, and welcome to another Spore creation video with a twist. So every now and then I like to remake my old creations or remake other players' creations. And the idea occurred to me that, you know, when I montage the entire creations all together at the end, you don't really see the process. And so I thought what might be like a nice little idea to do every now and then is, just like with the creation challenges, to go ahead with the entire creation process of remaking an old creation with you guys, so you can see like why I do certain things, my general kind of goals, and you know what I want to do. My creation of choice to remake is a very, very old creation of mine, the Elder Dracolich, which was, I think this is the very first dragon skeleton I made as of getting the creepy and cute parts back. As you can see there, I've kind of like abused the whisker pieces, the evil eyes, the head, and the feet as well. One of my best Dracolichs and undead creatures. Oh, younger me. Younger me. It definitely isn't the best anymore. So now we are of course doing this as mods. Normally when I do these reborn creations, when I remake old ones, I tend to prefer doing them without mods. That way, you know, we can share them. It's like a direct comparison of new and old with the same palette and library. But for this, like I said, we'll have a bit of fun. We'll have a bit of fun and we'll show you guys, you know, the general thing. So first of all, I'm looking at this creature and it's clearly meant to be on the bulky side. It's clearly bulky, although it's lacking a lot of structure. It's obviously not meant to be realistic, bear that in mind, but it's it's lacking quite a bit. So first things first, what I think is very, very important right now is we're going to give the poor sod a couple of more, you know, limbs. So first of all then, let's give him some shoulders. There we go, just a nice little subtle thing, just the extra joint really does help add so much. Some of you may have actually seen that I did a similar thing with the Great Red Dragon all that time ago. That for some bizarre reason, I added an additional joint to that creation. And I know that looks really weird nowadays. I still look back on it thinking, I could have done a lot better, but hey, that's the thing of growing, isn't it? You know, over time, you use a technique that you think looks good at the time, and as you get, you know, as you progress on, do more and more, you kind of realize, actually, that technique wasn't anywhere as good as you thought. And the entire reason I had that additional joint was to have large, pronounced shoulders. It didn't look like it. I know a lot of people thought I just added an extra limb to it. Right then. So let's go ahead and make the feet a little bit smaller as well. In fact, I don't really like those feet, to be honest. Like, I may have liked them at the time, of course, this was when Creepy and Cute was brand new and I was just using all the pieces I could. But now, not so much. I'd actually rather use this piece here. It may look a little bit more flimsy and a little bit more fleshy, but I just think it just suits better. In fact, I'm not sure if we'll make this into like a full-on skeleton, probably more like, you know, like a very deteriorated zombie kind of thing. But again, you know, there isn't really any large goals here. There's nothing I'm trying to go for or prove or whatever. It's just for fun. And in the end, what more can you do in this game? Have fun. That's the way I've always looked at it. Speaking of which, I just realised that those two limbs there don't seem quite right. Huh. So again, not exactly going for realism, but I do like to just go with certain themes and genres myself. Like, it may not be the right thing to use, but if it feels right to me, then I want to change it. And that being, for example, those particular skeleton pieces at the back there, I don't like that they didn't have, you know, I don't know what you'd call this. The gap in the middle, I guess. I'm not sure what the technical term is. But I felt like that not having that just made them feel a little bit odd. Just a bit. So, right now I'm just trying to make like a bit of a pelvis. It's a bit big, a bit wide, a bit of a birthing pelvis there, but you know what? This is good enough, I guess. Actually, let's make it, there you go. If I make the joints smaller, it means I can move it in a little bit further. Then when I finish the legs, I'm satisfied with it. If I make that joint there larger again and never ever move it, it'll be a lot closer together than, you know, typically allowed. Which you will see when I get there. I'm just trying to add a couple more bits and pieces here and there. Yeah, I think that one is the one. That should actually be a different limb. Let's try... What's that one? Yeah, that one works. That one does the trick in my opinion. So I have that one there. And another foot back there. Now I'm kind of losing the big bulky appearance that it originally had. I think I may have lost that because I removed the wings. That's fine, we can always get that back in a bit. Okay, so if we have something like that, that just looks... I think it's a lack of a tail and how small the ribcage is. It just seems really off. Okay, well, let's just leave it as is for now then. We'll work a bit more on that. We'll get rid of all these other spikes and pieces here and there. But I think I can see why it's off. The body is so damn tiny and flat. that right there, guys, that is peak evolution right there. Okay then, so of course, because it is, again, meant to be a skeleton, I kind of need to keep the actual spine itself very, very thin. That way I can, you know, give it the illusion of it being vertebrae and such. So I'll leave that as is for now, just having a bit more of a curve to it. That way it looks a little bit more, you know, a little bit more plausible, a little bit more natural, I guess, you know, that kind of thing. And the neck be a little bit larger. There you go, that's already looking slightly better. Let's go ahead and increase all of that, give you, yep, again, a bit more of a curve. Now, you were very hunched over, so I'm going to try and retain that. The head's going to be a little bit low still. The head will be aiming upwards, but I do just want the entire thing to be a little bit hunched over. There we go, kind of like that. It still seems very, very off, but again, we'll work through it and just figure out. Now then, ribs. So, when I was younger, I used to use the keratin horns all the time for the ribs because, well, why not, you know? Just do that, whack them on, make them a big curvy thing, and that's it, a rib's done. In my opinion, again, you know, as I got a little bit older and started playing more and more parts, these just look a bit basic. Like, they're not wrong, but I've always felt like they're a bit basic. Whereas, if I use these, straighten them out, they've got a bit more of a curve to it. It's got a bit more of a texture, a bit more of a curve. It's just an overall, a slightly more interesting shape. And in my opinion, these come out together to a much nicer looking ribcage. So, let's go ahead then. I had the ribs be much larger than the previous one as well. The general ribcage itself, so it's got like a bit of a large torso. So again, it did look like I was trying to go for a large bulky dragon. So I'm going to try and retain that. And then have the ribcage stop about there, I reckon. Move that back, that way I have access to this room over here. Let me see, have one there. It's funny actually, I said I was going to go for modded, and so far I've only been using core Spore pieces. Funny that, isn't it? But it goes to show really how, you know, a lot of the core Spore pieces are they're just perfect for certain scenarios. Like, I know I use modded all the time, but it just means I have more options. Whereas vanilla by itself, core Spore, creepy and cute, all those kind of things are definitely good enough. They're definitely viable for a lot of things. So that already is looking quite a bit better. All of this around here is looking extremely empty. But we could probably like add in like a pelvic bone or that kind of stuff in a bit. Now, let me see. Can I place a bone knee pad on that? Yes, I can. Great. No invisible parts for me. I'll just whack that on then and have like a bit of a collarbone going on. Like that. Let's see if I can move it like a little bit higher. There you go. Again, probably not perfect, but it doesn't need to be. We're just having fun. And I like having fun in this game. It's like drawing for me. Spore is very much like drawing and sketching. While you're doodling around, you're not doodling to create, you know, an amazing masterpiece or whatever. You're doodling just because you want to doodle. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's pretty much how I treat Spore. That's how I treat my more relaxed creations. And especially why I prioritize fantasy creations, because it's relaxed. Simple as that, you know, there is no right or wrong. There's better and bad. Well, not bad. There's, you know, like preferences, things could be better, things could be worse, all that kind of stuff, but in my opinion, there is no right and wrong. I'm starting to feel more and more like Bob Ross lately. Which is pretty awesome, if I'm going to be honest. Right, got a big shoulder blade there, gonna make that a little bit bigger actually. Now, I'm not sure how it's going to line up with the wings. That might be a part where it does go, like, horribly, horribly inaccurate. But, yeah. just meh. Right, let's make all that a little bit bigger then. There you go, make all that a little bit bigger. That there, I think it's safe to increase the size of that again. Now, that is a bit of a really weird angle. I don't like that at all. What if I just point it slightly forward? That's better. It's still really square. I don't like how far they jut out. But then again, though, if you look at it from this angle and you imagine it being fleshy and such, I guess, you know, you can imagine like a bit of musculature around like the, you know, around the ribs maybe on the outside, or just thick hide, and then it just kind of stretches over, I guess. I don't know. I can kind of imagine it. It's fine. It's fine. Right then. So, what I used to do a lot of, this is actually really good in Spore as well without mods. This piece here, the segment tenor, is actually really good for just like a very nice, simple, cheap solution for making skeletal tails. Like, look at that. That's fine. Job done. But, let me think. I kind of want to use limbs, but so far I'm actually doing quite well at keeping it vanilla. So I think I'm going to keep that actually. Maybe I will make this vanilla after all. Even if I've got my mods enabled, if I don't use any modded pieces, I should be able to just go ahead and share it immediately after when I'm done. So that'd be good. So let's go ahead and make this tail fairly long. Don't want it to be curved along that direction, but maybe curve it like that. I want it to be like fairly rigid. I guess that works. Move it a little bit higher, that way it kind of follows. Yeah, I want it to like follow the same direction as the rest of the spine. That's what I'm going for right now. So I guess like that. That looks quite okay. It's a little bit funky. Alternatively, I could just do that. But now it's starting to look a little bit puppy-like. Which actually isn't bad. Yeah, I quite like that. I think that's a little bit more interesting to look at. But now I just realised, because I made it extremely large, it probably can't share it now. Because even though you can use a stacking mod with Spore, you definitely can't share creatures that have abnormally large or abnormally small sizes. So that's fine. We'll just get back to, you know, the whole modded theme then. So before I work on the face, let's go ahead and return a couple of details that I had missed out on, or that I had removed. So we had a bit of decay, I guess. You know, a couple of these whip pieces here and there. But a couple of them, like, all around the elbows, all around the joints. If I can select it, there we go. Had a little bit back here. Actually, we'll skip on that side. But we'll have a little bit more around here. Good stuff, good stuff. Quite a bit of it, I reckon, all around here. I'm imagining, like, all of just the remnants of, like, muscle fibers or tendons and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So a little bit there, have another one stacked on top of it, just to add in, like, you know, like a little bit more complexity. All of that kind of stuff, kind of like that. Cool, it's subtle, but, you know, it's just a nice little bonus details here and there. Just gives it a little bit more depth. Right, let's go ahead and, oh, not spin the camera, sorry about that. Go ahead and move that inwards like that, so again, it kind of all just merges together. And maybe I want a little bit around the collarbone as well. Or around the ribs. Let's try maybe like... Yeah, there you go. Just, again, nice little simple pieces like that. I like that. I'm liking how this is going. And come to think of it, I do actually want to have quite a bit around the hips. Because they just seem very off to me. So I think it'd be nice to try and, you know, add a little bit... I guess, realistically, adding distractions. I was going to say adding, you know, just more detail, more things to look at, but then I realised I'm essentially adding distractions here to take away from how weirdly bony and angular, how weirdly angular the hips are. That's basically what I'm doing, but not that there's anything wrong with that, of course. Yeah, I think that just helps break it apart just a little bit. And then if I had bits around the ribcage, like let's say for example, make that really long there, I had a bit I was just kind of... Oh, one sec. Had a bit that was just kind of wrapping itself towards the legs. It like kind of gives like a bit of a hint, a bit of an idea of where flesh may have been before. Kind of like that. Have another bit there just so it doesn't look so out of place. And make it a little bit shorter. There you go. Yeah, cool. I'm liking that. I'm definitely liking that so far. Right then. I'm just dredging the head, which is why I keep on dodging it. I'm not looking forward to making a head. That bit's going to be quite hard. What I want to do next, though, is just have a bit of vertebrae. Or have a bit of, like, definition to the vertebrae. There's a lot of different pieces you can use for this. I normally like the shell shards. They're very, very good. The bone knee pads, like, you know, angled up to the side, can also work quite nice. Oh, actually, that looks really good. That can work as well. In fact, I might use that part. Let me see. Nail downs can look good as well. Again, just something like that, and then just, you know, having a few of them all running down the sides. You know, you have options here. Acorns, nipples, horror lamps, Adora visors, all these parts work for that. I'm going to use this piece here, the flipped over bone knee pad, because I just remembered that the original creation was very, very spiky. It had, you know, quite the plethora of spikes running down its spine. They were obviously vertebrae, of course, but I think back then I wanted a little bit more than just vertebrae. I think they were meant to be like very large spikes, funnily enough. So if I use these pieces here, I can kind of retain that feel. I've got a little bit more control over them. You know, I can change the width and height. So I think that all works like that. Make that one quite a bit smaller. Okay, I can't, so I'll just scale it smaller then. Right now I'm kind of making it just follow the ribs. So that they don't just seem like randomly cluttered. Right then, and like that. Cool, cool. Have another little bit there. And then this one I noticed in the creation that these bits got really, really large. Which I guess is definitely just a little bit over the top. But hey, after all, I'm remaking the old creation. The old creation was clearly exaggerated. So we're going to retain that look. Which just looks kind of nuts so far. Right then. Oh dear, I'm starting to get to the point now I have to work on the head. But fortunately, besides I have the stacking mod, what I can do... So this is a bit cheap and cheeky, actually, come to think of it. Normally, with my modded creations, or, you know, like, a lot more obviously modded, I would use a bunch of limbs to make the tail. But I'm using the antenna this time, just because I want to go, like, a bit more of a classic appearance on this. And because I have the stacking mod enabled, even though I'm using a classic tail, I can still add vertebrae. So that is actually a really cheeky solution. It's really cheap and easy. It's a bit crappy looking. I mean, not gonna lie. But it's not bad though. It's not bad. It's like a nice little new style actually. See, this was really cool. 10 years of playing this game, 10 years, help me, and still always finding more and more techniques. I guarantee you guys you're gonna see me do this tail again at some point in the near future. I guarantee it. And just to like make it look a little bit less basic, I want to go ahead and have a couple of smaller ones in between. So some of them are the spikes, some of them are the actual vertebrae itself. I guess that's really make a whole lot of sense. But it looks cool. And that's what I normally go after. I just want things to look cool. I want to make a thing that a person looks at and thinks, ha, that's nice, I like that. Right. Do I want a bit in the end? Nah. We'll just keep it at that. Right then. Looking good. I just remembered I also need the pelvic bones as well. They actually, even though I'm sure a lot of people giggle at the pelvic bones, they do just help add, you know, just more to that area. Right now, this entire area, all around the crotch, just feels extremely empty. And I mean extremely empty. So just having the pelvic bones here and there, just like on dinosaurs, does just help, in my opinion. It adds mass, essentially. That's what happens. It just adds a bit of mass. Just have to hope that people don't giggle at it. To be entirely honest. Right then. Again, just adding a couple more of these things here to like kind of give hints and suggestions of where the skin or muscle may be. A little bit more there. Good. See, I do love making skeletal creations. I don't know why, it's just something in my opinion that's really fascinating about it. I really enjoy these. The tricky part is though, is that, you know, in the end, a lot of skeletons kinda-ish look the same. So it's the kind of thing that it's kind of hard to keep on making more and more skeletons. But if I make like 10 different dragon skeletons, they're gonna follow the same formula. Like, more than likely they'll follow the same formula. And that is, you know, 2 or 4 legs. Maybe a set of wings. If it doesn't have a set of wings, well, it's just gonna look like a cat. Or something else. I've gotta be honest. I do wish I could make more skeletal creations. Unless, of course, I'll make them over the top. You know? That'll help break up the monotony. Okay. That's enough messing around, delaying the head. Now I need to make the head. So. I want to use the original head I used. The creepy and cute one. Even though it's definitely not anywhere quite as skeletal, it's still just, again, it's a remade creation. I want to keep a lot of the initial design in, and that's why I kind of want to carry on using this one. And now it looks like it has a mohawk. Nice. I like that. Let's go ahead and just trim that down. Actually, yeah, I like that. That's cool. Let's have a couple more little bits of vertebrae, just hinted around here, just going down the throat. A little bit like that, a little bit like that. Awesome. Again, just adds that little bit extra. And then the eyes were big and evil and scary, weren't they? Big, evil and scary. And a little bit poorly placed last time. Let's go ahead and make them a little bit smaller. A little bit more proportional. As the eyes before are way too big. And something like that. A little bit more pointed as well. There you go. This is obviously a very angry looking thing. Right then. Oh, I'm liking that a lot, to be honest. I really like that. Now, I can't remember how his head actually looked. So let's go ahead then and just look back for a sec. Let's look at my old Dracolich. There it is. So what was the head like? Quite basic. Quite a bit longer, actually. Had a bit of a thin snout. Like that. Let's make it a little bit smaller. Yeah, I like that. Cool. We had some horror lumps that are just casually... Actually, nah, I'm not going to use that. Instead of using the horror lumps, since it clearly had big horns, and I probably used the horror lumps because of complexity, I'm going to go ahead and use these instead. Big old devil horns kind of thing going on. There we go. I don't know why, I've always had this habit where I massively exaggerate the horns on my creatures. Not sure why, I just like the big majestic crests. Even though it's, you know, technically a bit too heavy for it to handle. I just always thought, it's always been like a bit of a design choice for me. I just always enjoyed having the big, really exaggerated features. Like that, in a way. And because now that feels a little bit off to look at, I will actually add some horror lumps off to the side, so just to give it, like, again, a bit more cresting. Let's have one there. Have the, oh, no, have another one there. Good stuff, good stuff. Actually, make that one, like, a little bit higher. There you go. That way, again, like, when you look at it from the front, it's just got a bit more information to take in. A little bit more shape and variety. It's not just, like, a very simple mass. And then, of course, for some reason, it had eye whiskers. I don't know why, but that's what it had, so I'll keep it. Cool. And then, of course, the wings. The wings were overall very angular, very square. So we're going to try and retain that look. Now, as for where I'm going to put them, yeah, that is the question, isn't it? Oh, dear. Right. Let's have one there. So that there is just going to be like the initial, you know, thing. Kind of like its own shoulder blade, I guess is the best way to describe it. Actually, if I do it like that, and then like that, that kind of works, actually. Yeah, I like that. That kind of works. That way it's just got a bit of a bend to it, and it looks like it's kind of protruding out before it bends out. And it was very pointed down, these wings, weren't they? Kind of like that. They're very opposing and flexed, and very, very, very square. Very wide. So kind of like that, maybe? I'm trying to think the best way to position this. I guess like that. Yeah, that seems about right, actually. The way the original one had its wings posed would kind of look like it was making itself seem larger. So I'm trying to get that same thing going again. Because I'm really liking the general core Spore aesthetic we have going on, I'm going to carry on with that. Going to keep it, of course we are playing modded. You know, we have freedom and all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to try and use like a majority vanilla parts. So for that, because we're following the same theme here, I'm actually going to use these for the wings. Just because they're very nice, cheap and efficient parts to use for this. And if I use any other pieces, like the horror lumps for example, the horror lumps are really, really good. Except for making the wings, they get a bit too thick in my opinion, a bit too bottom heavy. Whereas these are a fairly nice consistent shape. And it's very easy just to like create the overall theme that you're going for. In fact, I kind of want that to bend downwards. Like that. There you go. Kind of like that. That looks a lot more opposing to me. Now, because it has 4 digits on its feet, I'm going to go for 4 fingers on this as well. I guess it's a minor detail. It doesn't matter for a fantasy creation. But it just adds, you know, it just seems more consistent. Again, little decisions here and there that are not necessarily right or wrong. They just feel right to me. Let's make it a little bit larger. There you go. Just vary out the size a little bit. And there we go. We've got our big, opposing, scary wings. Let's add some horror lamps to the tips here. You know, just a bit of good old spikies. I don't know if they're actually meant to be claws or not, but whatever they are, they're there now. Let's add a whole load of these things. These things, 10 out of 10. Let's just add a couple of these here and there as well. Once again, giving it like the illusion of like tattered skin, muscle fibers, things that were once here that kind of aren't anymore. Kind of like an outline in a way. If I can actually mouse over the wheels. I bloody hate that bug where it just won't let you mouse over it now. Just keep on turning the camera instead. 9 out of 10 times when I accidentally turn the camera, it's because I mouse over to like a thing to modify, like the wheel or the arrow, but it didn't actually mouse over it. Like even though visibly my cursor is on top of it, it just didn't register. I'm sure a lot of you are very familiar with that, aren't you? And that's why I so frequently accidentally spin my screen. I try not to do it, I really try, but when I get carried away with the creation, it's kind of hard to constantly pay attention to if I'm successfully interacting with a modifier or not. But hey, it's just one of them things, isn't it? Just one of them things, what can you do? Right, it's a little bit messy, I would admit. Around, like, all around the wings there, it is quite messy, but I actually quite like it. I do quite like this. Well, I do like this quite a bit. I just want to add a little bit more to the actual parts here, just to keep the entire design consistent. I don't want to just randomly stop just because I've reached them. Have a little bit there. And that actually looks fine. I was about to add another one here, and then I realised that these two are close enough, where it just feels like that little gap there feels like natural, basically. Because after all, in nature, nothing is ever streamlined and perfect. So it's nice to have like a little bit of a inconsistency in patterns. But otherwise, that, my friends, with its lovely red orbs right in the way as I'm saving it, that is our new remade Elder Dracolich. Oh dear, I'm just losing the ability to speak, aren't I? So there we go. That is pretty much the general process of me remaking older creations. Again, you know, a little bit different. You know, the ability to have mods, and of course, talking my way through it. But that's basically about how it goes. I try to retain the original aesthetic as much as I can. I try to keep the original themes. Like maybe I'll change every now and then if I'm feeling creative or if I have inspiration. I'll go ahead and like evolve it. But a lot of the times, I just try to enhance it, and I much prefer how this has come out compared to like the fun older one. I really like this actually. Not bad for 30 minutes. Right then guys, I hope that was enjoyable to watch. Hope it was interesting. I do hope it was interesting. I really love remaking old creations. It's just a lot of fun. It's like a little doodling exercise for me. And I would highly recommend trying it out. If you have older creations that you just think, how could that look? Just give it a go. Why not? As always guys, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all next time. Cheers.